guys, my name is Ezra and welcome back to my channel. So I believe I promised that I would be sharing my reading tracker on Google Spreadsheets in one of my videos. So I am now going to share it with you. I am recording this at the last week of February, so you will see more information added to the spreadsheet. And I think that is a perfect way to share my spreadsheet so that at least you'll know what I'm doing with it. So before I start, I would like to thank Steph from the Novelty Corner because the basis of this tracker is from her tracker. So I will leave a link in the description box below so that you will be able to see how she is using this tracker. Now, another thing that I want to say is that I basically modified her tracker and combined it with a tracker that I have been using since 2015. I downloaded a tracker from one of the book bloggers. Unfortunately, I lost the link to her blog, and I can't remember who created the tracker, so unfortunately I won't be able to share that with you. So I'd like to thank that anonymous blogger because her tracker was very extensive and I have adapted some of them on here. Now, another thing I want to let you know is that I am not very savvy with formulas. So what I did was I took a peek at all the formulas in the spreadsheets and I just kind of figured it out using trial and error to see if it would come up with the thing that I wanted it to come up with. Luckily, Sadie at Sadie Reads on Instagram was awesome enough to take a look at this tracker and actually said, oh, it's working. So I think I did it correctly, but if it looks wonky, blame me. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to give you an overview and then go into the details of this tracker. All right, so let's get started. So I do have multiple sheets on this spreadsheet over here. So I have the overall summary, then I have the details, which goes into the meat of the tracker, and then I also included the graphs. Then I have the reading log, acquisitions sheet, series tracker, DNF tracker, authors sheet, and then the categories. So the categories are basically all the things that Steph used in the drop down options in all the other sheets. And what I like about this is that you can actually add more, and I did modify the fillers, the drop down options, to include unlimited amount of additions to each item, because when I downloaded Steph's tracker, she only had a few things on there, but she had a lot of tropes, diversities, and subgenres already included. So with the publishers, I basically just added a whole lot as I was reading. So I didn't want to go back and forth every time I find something, so I just reformatted everything. So let's move on into the details. Now, this is where I have the basic ratings tracker. Then this is where I would be tracking the genres that I've read. For the most part, I did not change Steph's setup for this one. I probably won't be reading other genres, but who knows, I might be. So I just left that on there. Now, because I want to track the specific romance subgenre, I created this tracker specifically for romance, and this is expandable, so I can just expand this as I read genres, other subgenres in romance. So this is my yearly totals: the pages read, hours listened, books acquired, books read, and books reread. I did add a few options here, especially the hours listened, because Steph's tracker did not include the audiobook minutes, so I included that in. Then we have the audience tracker. So for the most part, I would probably just be doing adult and maybe new adult. I'm not sure if I'll be reading young adult this year, but in the happenstance that I would, then I have it here. I did not modify Steph's setup here, so I just decided to leave it like that. Now here we have the monthly musts and don'ts. I added this in, but this is from Steph as well. I thought this was a great idea to track your favorite reads so that it will be easy at the end of the year to sum up your favorites and least favorites of the year. Now, let's move on to the next sheet, which is the 2021 reading details. Now, this one is more detailed than the previous page. This will be breaking down the number of books read every single month, the number of pages read every single month, the number of minutes listened to every single month, the number of DNFs every single month. So the DNFs and the minutes column are ones that I added in myself. I thought it would be neat to add a DNF column or a DNF tracker because I wanted to see how many books I DNF in a month. Well, for now I only have one in February, which is I'm actually surprised, but that's good. Then moving over here, I also have a tracker of the longest audiobook and the longest book that I've read, and it will automatically populate over here. And there is a formula. And then of course the shortest audiobook and then the shortest book. So with this shortest audiobook and book, this will also include those that I DNF'd. So for example, the stopover, I only listened 425 minutes worth of the book because it was a DNF. So that is something that I need to keep in mind as well. Then I also added a pub year. So this will be books published before 2021, books published after 2021, and then books published in 2021. Alright, so here I also included an author tracker, so it will basically be tracking the number of authors I've read, the most read author or my most read author to date, and then the number of debut authors and the number of new to me authors. So this tracker actually links to my authors sheet over here, and I did set this up as a format where I don't have to type it every single time. This will auto-populate based on the reading log here from the reading log sheet, and it will automatically count the number of books I've read written by that author. Now, Now this column is basically a manual thing where I just check off if they are a debut author or a new to me author. So at least this one auto populates and I don't have to make sure I remember. Okay, let's go back to the details. Now here we have the series tracker, which I added. This is also based from my previous tracker, and then it will just count the number of series that I've read, the number of standalones, the number of series that I finished, and the number of series that I abandoned. And then it will also count the number of first, second, third, and then fourth and higher books that I've read from a series. Now these two options here, series finished and series abandoned, actually link from the series tracker sheet. So if I click on the series tracker sheet, I have a column for complete. I do have an option for abandoned and complete. So once I select an abandoned option or a complete option, you should see this tracker count those. Now the number of series and the number of standalones and these first, second, third, fourth books and higher actually link from the reading log. So on this column, I have the series title and number. This one automatically auto-populates and automatically counts from here, and this one as well. So there is a formula that I kind of figured out because I don't know how to do that. Now this is the format, so this is again based on Steph's counters, and this is just selecting what format the books that I'm reading are. Now this one links to the reading log as well. The diversity tracker is also linked from the reading log, and then it will basically count the diversity options that I selected. Moving on to this side, we have the readathons log. So this is basically a tracker that is tracked on this specific page. This does not link to any other sheets, but I probably should. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to set it up. So for now, it's going to live here. And then I'm just going to select the option if it's completed, not completed, and then it will count here on the top. Now let's move on to the graphs. So this is from Steph. I thought this was great, a great idea to add a graphical representation of the books that I've read. But for now, this is the ones that I just copied over. I don't know if I'm going to be adding more graphs. We'll see. But for now, this is what we have. Then moving on, let's go to the reading log. So this is pretty straightforward. It's counting all the number of books that I've read. I think I added the start date. I can't remember the reason why. It's probably based on the details tab. I think some of this is based on this column, but I can't remember which one. So I do have a start and finish. And it's also great to know when I started a book and how long it took for me to read it. And here we have the status. So I'm counting books that I've read, and I'm counting the books that I've reread, and of course the DNF. Then we have the series title and number, author, year pubbed, and then the publisher. Then we have the length, the pages read, the minutes, the rating, the readership. This is basically the audience. So is it kids, middle grade, young adult, new adult, and adult. And then we have the format. I added quite a bit into the format. I included ARCs, and then I also included e-ARCs. So I separated the advanced reader copies that I get. And then, of course, we have all the other options. I did include Mass, the new mass market paperback, because I've been receiving a few already. So I decided to add that in. It will be interesting, though, if I could count those. I'll think about it. And then, of course, we have the main genre, which is romance, and then the romance subgenre, or actually just the subgenre. But I'm only tracking the romance subgenre. Then we have the diversity column. So there are 2 diversity columns here, and I really like this. Now let's move over to the tropes and keywords. This is something that made me want to download Steph's tracker, specifically because she already had an extensive list of tropes, and I was like, I don't need to figure out what the tropes are. I just need to use her. So I did add like 3. For extensive list, that's the virgin hero, one night stand, and opposites attract. I don't think there was one here. But as you can see, hers is already as extensive. Oh gosh, I can't. It's so good. So anyway, we have 3 columns to track your tropes. So this is another thing. I don't have a trope tracker yet. I think I need to have one, but because the options are just so extensive, it's hard to track all of them. I think that will be too much. I'm not sure yet. Another thing that I liked is the country option. So basically just selecting the country where the book was set. I did include space. Space is not a country, but if I'm reading a sci-fi romance, then I'm going to select space. Then we have the trigger warnings and notes. This is basically just typing in all the trigger warnings that you have. And then I added this review column just to check off the books that I actually reviewed. And then, of course, if the book is linked to a readathon, that will be here, and then whatever prompt that book is from. Now, this readathon columns don't actually link to anywhere. So I still have to figure out if I should make it link, or I haven't figured out how to do it or what I want with it. So it's gonna live here for now. Next, we have the acquisitions tab. It is very similar to the reading log, but it just has the series title. There's no series number, and we have the titles, and then we have the author, publisher. I did include the month because I was counting the months, and then the date. I included the date I downloaded or borrowed or purchased the book. Some of the books, I used the date I received the book if they were mailed from the publisher. The only thing that was added is the location. and then how it was acquired. So this is my understanding for the location. The location is where I got it from, and then what type of book it is, I guess. Then you're just gonna classify if they're new, used, or I added digital because I borrow a lot of digital books. I purchase a lot of digital books, so I included that in. And then the cost, and then the list price. So the list price, I based it off of Amazon, unless I purchase it somewhere else and they have an actual amount. So for the most part, the list price based from Amazon will be from books that I got for free on Amazon and library books that I got for free. And then this will automatically count the savings. And then I included the read/return date because I have another tracker over here. So I added this column in because it was just not feasible to use this column because this was the date I borrowed the book. So sometimes I borrow a book in let's say January and I read it in February and it'll count as a January read. So I didn't want that to happen. Now I have the status here. Was it return unread? This is another thing that I really liked from Steph's tracker. There's the return unread option. And I did include a collected because there are books that I just purchased for collection and I'm not planning to read the book because I'm gonna get the audio version. And this actually was added because I just purchased the first 9 books of the Side Changeling series. Alright, so we also have this short acquisition summary tracker. It will basically track the books that I've read, reread, anything that I'm currently reading. For now, I am not going to be tracking the currently reading part because it messes up my other tracker. So I don't know if I'm going to be deleting this line, but for now, I'll leave it up. Then of course it will count the DNF books, and then it will count the returned or on hold and read and unread. So I do have options here for returned unread. I probably need to add on hold for books that I just donated. I'll think about it. Then of course I also wanted to track the ARCs that I received, so I separated it from physical to e-ARCs, and then how many I got, and then how many of this e-ARCs that I received did I read. So this kind of keeps me accountable. For now, it's an embarrassment. Also over here, we have the number of books that I got every single month. This helps a lot if I'm doing a haul video. And then we have the number of books that I've read, the number of them that I reread, and then the number that I unhauled. So basically the unhauled will be the return unread for now. All right, next we have the series tracker. So I've been pretty great at adding the series titles based on the number of books that I borrowed. I think I need to pare this down a bit because I think it's getting a little too crazy. Maybe I should just add the books that I actually read, or at least I started reading. But since I've already set this up, I'll probably continue what I've been doing, but oh my god, this is a lot. So this will be the month that I got the book corresponding to the series, and then of course the series title, the author, the total number of books in the series so far, and the place of the last book that I read, where I will be typing the book here, and then I will be putting the last book read here. Then I also wanted to add the percent read because why not? It'll automatically calculate based on the total number of books and then based on my last position. And then of course I have the option if this is an ongoing series, this is a starting series. I think this one is an ongoing. I forgot to do this. And then of course I have this is the similar tracker from the details. This is an exact copy of that tracker, and I wanted to have it here as well so that I can, see as I complete this. Then we have the DNF tracker. So I decided to put in the month that I DNF the book, the DNF date. And then what I really liked is Steph added the percent read and a reason why I DNF'd it. Then, as I explained earlier, this is the author sheet, and which will auto-populate from the reading log. All right, So there you have it. This is my tracker, and I know it's a little bit crazy and it's huge, but I think it works for what I want. Anyway, please let me know if you're tracking your own reading and leave a link in the comment section below if you did a video of your tracker so that I can go and watch it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in another video.